Good morning, children. Now we have discussed all the growth promoting hormones in case of plants: auxin, gibberellin, and cytokinin. Now we have come to the growth inhibitor. There are two hormones which are called the growth inhibitors. Already we have discussed in the beginning. First one is called abscisic acid. Another one is called the ethylene. Now we have come to the abscisic acid. In short form, it is called ABA. A for abscisic, A, B for abscisic, A for acid, ABA. This is a growth inhibitor which regulates abscission. I told abscission is nothing but before the leaf or any plant part will be falling, the specialized layer formation takes place, which is called the abscission layer. And this abscission layer will be developed by this hormone, it is called the abscisic acid. From their name only came, that is called the abscisic acid. And the dormancy. It increases tolerance of plants, it is also another main function. It increases tolerance of plants to various kinds of stress condition, high temperature, low temperature, high speed, wind is blowing, that is also stress condition for plants. So, this hormone helps the plant to control or to survive in the stress condition. That's why this hormone is also called the stress hormone. Underline the 2 marks question. It increases tolerance of plants to various kinds of stress. So it is also called as stress hormone. It is found in the chloroplasts of plants. So 1 mark question, where we can see, where we can get the ABA or abscisic acid, that hormone, in the chloroplast of plants. Now physiological effects, what metabolic functions are performed by the ABA hormone. ABA promotes, I told first one, abscission, separation of leaves, flowers and fruits from the branch. Second one is called, during water stress and drought condition, ABA causes stomatophlosis. So whenever stress condition, water scarcity in the soil, at that time plants will be unable to absorb more and more water. So during transpiration, water is evaporated. Through stomata only maximum amount of water will be evaporated. So ABA, how it is controlling the stress condition, water stress, by closing the stomata. So water will be not evaporated through the stomata. So that way it is controlling or maintaining under stress condition. So that is during water stress and drought conditions, ABA causes stomatal closure. Third one, by which the transpiration rate can be reduced. Third point, ABA promotes senescence in leaves by causing loss of chlorophyll. Senescence being aged, any part of the plant will be aged before abscission, before setting off, which is called the senescence. So how it will be taking place? The leaf will become yellow before senescence, before abscission only. That is called the senescence. So loss of chlorophyll pigment takes place. That's why the leaves will become yellowish in color. And after that it will be, abscission will be taking place. That means it will set off. Third one, ABA induces bud dormancy. Bud dormancy due to towards the approach of winter in tree like beech. The dormancy are to inactive condition. Bud dormancy will be stimulated by the end of winter towards the approach of winter in trees like beech plant. The bud dormancy condition. So plants will be not growing too much because winter condition, the water stress will be there, water will be less in the air or atmosphere. So that the bud dormancy will be in plant. Bud dormancy means bud will be in inactive condition. Growth of the plants will be controlled. Fifth one, ABA is a powerful inhibitor of lateral bud growth in tomato. That is yesterday, last class we have discussed lateral growth. So these are the 5 physiological functions of abscisic acid or ABA. And the last hormone is called the ethylene. It's also a growth inhibitor, but its nature is gaseous. That's why it is called gaseous plant hormone. It is a growth inhibitor. It is mainly concerned with maturation and ripening of the fruits. Maximum synthesis of ethylene occurs during ripening of fruits like apples, banana and melons. And because of that, ethylene concentration increases, the fruits will become ripened. The most of the food content in the fruit will be converted into glucose so that we can get the sweetness of the fruit also. So ethylene function is like that, helping for ripening of the fruits. That's why it is called fruit ripening hormone. One word. Physiological functions. The first one, ethylene promotes ripening of fruits, tomato, apple, mango, banana, etc. Ethylene inhibits the elongation of the stem and root in dicots. Growth will be inhibited. Third one is called ethylene hastens the senescence of leaves and flowers. Hastens means stimulates the senescence process. The senescence of leaves and flowers. Ethylene stimulates formation of abscission zone. That one I told in leaves, flowers and fruits. This leads to premature shedding off. That means senescence will be promoted. Ethylene breaks dormancy in birds, seeds and storage organs. Now next part this is all about the plant hormones. Now we are going to the animal, human being. What are the hormones are secreted? Human being, they are having the specialized glands or specialized system which is called the endocrine system. A system means it is made up of so many organs, and organs are responsible for the secretion of hormones in the human being or higher invertebrates. So human endocrine glands. Endocrine glands in animals possess a versatile communication system to coordinate biological functions. Versatile communication means one from the place of origin it can move to the other regions where its function will be exhibited. It will be showing its function. So versatile communication system to coordinate biological functions. After reaching to that part, it will be showing its action. So physiological function also will be performed. Exocrine glands and endocrine glands are two types of glands found in animals. Endocrine glands are found in different regions of the body of animals as well as human beings. These glands are called the ductless glands. Why it is called ductless glands? Now when the hormone will be secreted by the gland, it will be not passing through the ducts. It will be opening to the blood, and along with the blood it will be passing from one place to the another place of our body. That's why they are called the ductless glands. They don't have any duct through which it will be carried. Their secretions are called the hormones, which are produced in minute but very small quantities. The secretions diffuse into the bloodstream, I told, and are carried to the distant parts of the body along with the blood. They act on specific organs which are referred to as the target organs. From one place it will be secreted, along with the blood it will be reaching to the different organs where it will be showing its function. And these chemical substances are called the hormones. Now next, the branch of biology. Do you know, for one more question you have to study. The branch of biology which deals with the study of endocrine glands and its physiology is known as endocrinology or endocrinology. Endocrine, from there it has come endocrinology. Thomas Addison is known as the father of endocrinology. English physiologists W.M. Bayliss and Starling, E.H. Starling, introduced the term hormone in 1909. They first discovered the hormone secretion. Now we are come. That is the introduction. What do you mean by hormone? Who is considered as the father of endocrinology? All these. Endocrine glands have specific ducts to exocrine glands. They are having the specific ducts to carry their. Exocrine glands means they are secreting the enzymes. Endocrine glands means they are secreting the chemical substance called the hormones. So exocrine glands have specific ducts to carry their secretions. Example, salivary gland, mammary gland, sweat glands, etc. Endocrine glands, they don't have the specific ducts. That's why they are called the ductless glands, present in human and other vertebrates. What are the glands? Now there are so many glands in different parts of our body. We will be discussing the location also. Pituitary gland, which is present in our brain, head. Thyroid gland, which is present in our neck. Thyroid, parathyroid. So thyroid, parathyroid, they are located. So you have to mark also. Pituitary gland in head region. These two glands, neck, in the neck region. Pancreas, adrenal gland, they are located in all these four are abdomen region. Abdomen region. So all these glands we have to study. These four. So there are totally 7 glands are there. Every place throughout the body it has been distributed. They are pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, pancreas, adrenal gland, gonads, and thymus gland. Thymus gland is located in the thorax. These 1, 2, 3. These 3 are located in the abdomen region. Now one by one will be coming. That will be discussed in the next class. Okay, thank you children.